You've seen the monthly payment, $599. It looks doable, right? You tell yourself, it's only 20 bucks a day. I can skip a few lattes. But here's what the dealership isn't telling you. That $599 payment is actually a $900 a month mistake once you factor in the invisible costs, insurance hikes, registration fees, and the brutal reality of depreciation that eats your net worth while the car is just sitting in your driveway. Most Americans are car poor, driving a vehicle that looks like success but feels like a financial prison. If you're tired of your car owning you instead of you owning the car, you need to stop looking at the sticker price and start looking at the math. Today, I'm showing you the exact formula the top 1% use to buy cars without ever feeling the pinch. My name's Lewis, and I spend way too much time thinking about car loans, debt cycles, and why so many people are broke even though they have good incomes. If you're someone who's trying to figure out how much you should actually be spending on a car without wrecking your financial future, make sure to hit the subscribe button to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Okay, so let's just start with some numbers that are honestly kind of alarming. According to Experian, the average new car payment in the United States is now over $730 a month. The average used car payment is around $520, and the average loan term, it's creeping past 68 months. That's nearly 6 years of payments on a depreciating asset. Let that sit for a second. But here's what most people don't realize. The reason these numbers have gotten so insane isn't just because cars are more expensive. It's because the entire system is designed to get you focused on one single number, the monthly payment. That's it. The dealership doesn't want you thinking about total cost. They don't want you thinking about interest. They definitely don't want you thinking about depreciation. They want you fixated on that monthly number because that is the lever they can manipulate. Look, let me show you what I mean. Let's say you want a car that costs $40,000. A salesperson says, "What payment works for you?" And you say, "I don't want to go over $500 a month." They can absolutely get you to $500 a month. They just stretch your loan to 84 months at, say, 7% interest. Your payment comes out to around $580. So they adjust a few things. Maybe a slightly longer term, maybe they bury some numbers. And boom, you're right around that 500 mark. But do you know what you actually end up paying for that $40,000 car? Over $50,000. You paid more than $10,000 in interest alone on something that's going to be worth maybe 15 grand by the time you're done paying for it. That math is brutal. So what's the move? How do you figure out what you can actually afford? I'm going to give you 3 rules, and I need you to take these seriously because they work together. If you ignore one of them, the other 2 kind of fall apart. Rule number 1, the 20-4-10 rule. This is the gold standard. You put at least 20% down. You finance the car for no more than 4 years. That's 48 months. And your total monthly transportation costs, which include the car payment, insurance, and estimated fuel, should not exceed 10% of your gross monthly income. Let me run through an example. Let's say you make $60,000 a year. That's $5,000 a month gross. 10% of that is $500 for all transportation costs. So if your insurance is $150 a month and gas is about $100, that leaves you $250 for the actual car payment. At a reasonable interest rate, say 6% over 48 months, that payment supports a loan of roughly $10,600. You add your 20% down payment on top of that, and you're looking at a total car purchase price of around $13,000. Now you might be thinking, Luis, $13,000? What am I supposed to buy for 13 grand? And I hear you. I really do. But this is where I need you to check your ego for a second. Because a reliable $13,000 car, a well-maintained Honda Civic, a Toyota Camry, a Mazda 3, that car will get you everywhere you need to go. It will not destroy your ability to build wealth. And that is the entire point. This is where it gets really interesting, because the math is actually the easy part. The hard part is your brain. There's a concept in behavioral economics called present bias. It basically means humans are hardwired to value what feels good right now over what's better for them in the future. And car purchases are like the ultimate playground for present bias. You sit in that new car, you smell the leather, the salesperson hands you the keys for a test drive, and your brain literally releases dopamine. You're not making a financial decision anymore. You're making an emotional decision, and then using math to justify it afterward. And here's the other thing nobody talks about: lifestyle anchoring. Once you drive a $40,000 car, your brain recalibrates. That becomes your new normal. So when it's time to buy your next car, you're not looking at something cheaper. You're looking at something at that level or higher. You've anchored yourself to a lifestyle that requires a permanent $500 to $700 monthly payment for the rest of your life. You've essentially given yourself a subscription to being broke. And I don't say that to be harsh. I say that because I genuinely want you to see the pattern. The average American will spend over $700,000 on cars over their lifetime. When you factor in payments, insurance, maintenance, fuel, and depreciation. $700,000. Imagine if even half of that money were redirected into an index fund, averaging 10% annually over 30 or 40 years. You'd be looking at a difference of well over $1 million in net worth. A car is quite literally the difference between retiring comfortably and working until you're 70. Let me tell you a quick story. I knew this guy. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus was making about $85,000 a year. Solid income. His coworkers were driving Audi Q5s, BMW X3s, financed to the ceiling. Marcus drove a 2015 Honda Accord that he bought for $11,000 in cash. People at work kind of clowned him for it. But here's what they didn't know. Marcus was putting that $500 to $600 a month, the money he wasn't spending on a car payment, straight into a brokerage account. After 4 years, Marcus had accumulated over $35,000 in investments. His coworkers, they still owed money on cars that were now worth less than their loan balances. They were underwater, and Marcus was building equity in his future. Look, I'm not saying you need to drive a beater for the rest of your life. What I'm saying is that the timing matters. Drive below your means now so you can drive whatever you want later. That's the game. All right, so let me give you the actual step-by-step framework you can use right now. Step 1, calculate your gross monthly income. Not what you wish you made, not your income plus your side hustle that you did once 3 months ago. Your actual, consistent gross monthly income. Step 2, multiply that number by 10%. That's your maximum total transportation budget. Payment, insurance, gas, everything. Step 3, subtract your insurance and fuel costs. Whatever's left is your maximum car payment. Step 4, use a loan calculator. There are free ones everywhere online. And plug in that payment amount with a 48-month term and a realistic interest rate based on your credit score. That will tell you the maximum loan amount you should take on. Step 5, add your down payment, which should be at least 20% of the car's price, to get your total budget. And step 6, this is the one people skip. Get pre-approved for financing before you set foot in a dealership. Go to your bank. Go to a credit union. Credit unions especially tend to have significantly better rates. When you walk into a dealership with pre-approved financing, you have taken away their biggest weapon. You're negotiating on the price of the car, not on a monthly payment. That changes the entire dynamic. Here's what most people don't realize. The dealership makes a significant chunk of its profit not from the car itself, but from the financing. They get a kickback from the lender for marking up your interest rate. So when you walk in with your own financing, you've just cut off one of their major revenue streams, and suddenly, they're way more willing to negotiate on sticker price. Now, you might be thinking, Luis, I need a reliable car, and cheap cars break down. And honestly, that's partly a myth and partly fair. Here's the nuance. A 3 to 5-year-old Toyota, Honda, or Mazda with 50 to 70,000 miles on it is statistically in the sweet spot of reliability. The heavy depreciation has already happened. A new car loses roughly 20 to 30% of its value in the first 2 years alone. But the mechanical reliability is still very much there. You're basically letting someone else pay for the depreciation, while you get the vast majority of the car's useful life. And if someone says, but I need a car for my image, for work, for clients. Look, I get it. There are some careers where your car matters, but be honest with yourself about whether that's actually your situation or whether you're using it as an excuse. Because most of the time, it's the excuse. Nobody ever lost a client because they drove a clean, well-kept Accord instead of a 3 Series. That's a story we tell ourselves to justify the emotional purchase. Here's the bottom line. A car is a tool. It gets you from point A to point B. And I know that sounds boring. And I know social media makes it feel like your car is a reflection of your value as a person. But it's not. Your net worth is not determined by what's in your driveway. It's determined by the decisions you make when nobody's watching. The boring, disciplined, unsexy decisions, like driving a car you can actually afford and investing the difference. 5 years from now, you can either be someone who's still making payments on a car that's worth half of what you owe, or you can be someone who used that money to build real wealth. An emergency fund, a growing investment portfolio, maybe even a down payment on a house. The math is clear. The psychology is the hard part. But now you understand both, and that puts you ahead of 90% of people. If this video helped you see car buying differently, hit that subscribe button, drop a thumbs up, and leave a comment telling me what car you're driving right now and whether this changed your perspective. I read every single comment. And if you want to keep learning how to make smarter money moves, I've got a video right here that breaks down the other major financial traps people fall into. Thanks for watching. See you next video.